The Iflot Sugar Estate. Grinding since the time the Dutch and British occupied Guyana, Iflot is today the only remaining sugar estate in all of Demerara. It employs about 1,300 persons, and once grinding begins, it's a 24-hour operation to produce sugar, which is then shipped overseas by bulk and bagged for the local market. This has been happening for over 150 years. The estate has carried the acronym ICBU. This comes from a Dutch plantation owner named Ignatius Charles Borda Iflot. During the Dutch colonial period, he was the original owner of what was then a plantation. Many of the older folks also used to refer to the village as Boda, which was really meant to be Borda. They couldn't pronounce the name properly. Sugarcane burned in the fields arrives at the factory in barges or punts and is mechanically dumped and washed at the start of the process to produce sugar. The cane is then crushed to release the juice using a series of mill rollers. The cane juice is then boiled. Evaporators reduce the amount of water in the cane juice. This thickens the liquid into this gooey substance. Holding it up against the light is for the pros who can tell the sucrose crystals. The first sign of sugar is about to form. Others like me would need the microscope to tell. The sucrose crystals are then mechanically extracted. In other words, sugar is produced and ready for the market. The thick liquid left behind is molasses, still very sweet, and is mostly used to produce genuine Demerara rums. Iflot began operations in 1871 at the height of a prolific sugar industry. Then, it was a large operation that took up 4.6 square miles. In 1921, the Demerara Company acquired the estate. Later, it came under the umbrella of Jessel's Holdings, one of two large holding companies with significant assets in British Guyana. Booker Brothers McConnell was the other. In January 1981, Iflot Estate merged with the adjoining Lenora Estate, which itself is now a thing of history. All of what happens at Iflot depends on this, the Boerasirie Conservancy, one of the largest reservoirs of fresh water in Guyana. It collects the flow from the Boerasirie River, Warramia Creek, Jumbi Creek and the South Durabana Creek and can safely hold 166 million cubic meters of water.
Water is essential for cane growing and the factory operations. So we depend 100% on water source coming from the conservancy. Yes. 100%, yes. All our operation is dependent on conservancy for us to move on. We are the largest user or dependent on the water coming from the conservancy. So we can say we safely have no other choice than to use this water, a clean source of water coming into the system for pond flotation and cane establishment, irrigation of canes, and see the establishment of the plant as a whole. With all the water used for processing being sourced from the conservancy. The whole processing in the factory is a clean source of water, normally known as the black water coming from the conservancy. Looking forward for that. And up to this day, we still depend on that source to do our processing.
The estate has 651,120 meters of irrigation and navigation waterways, sourcing water from the Boerasirie Conservancy. Water from the Conservancy gets into the factory via an underground tunnel through one of the canals and is then pumped to the needed areas in the factory through a series of pipes and is flushed out similarly. While the waterways you see is about 53 miles, the Boerasirie Conservancy covers a surface area of 150 miles.
The conservancy starts from Patosi.
What?
Patosi. That's Bank of Wales.
Okay.
Patosi comes all the way to, we end up by SINGH.
Where?
SINGH. This is Waramia, we are here right now.
What?
Waramia, where we sitting here. And, but it's gone another 5 miles to SINGH. It's 29 miles. 29 miles from Patosi to here. Waramia is 29 miles. We got another 5 miles from here to SINGH. We get 19 miles from here through a area we call Two Mouth going back. That's Two Mouth, that's waterway. That's waterway we have. So it's like about 53 miles of waterway we have. But we have the conservancy is 256 square miles. That's inclusive of the savannas that we have there.
The Boerasirie Water Conservancy is mainly managed by the Boerasirie Commission. The Conservancy provides fresh water for a total of 54,553 acres of farmlands. Most of that is cultivated by the Guyana Sugar Corporation, Gaisuco, and private cane farmers to keep the operations at the estate going. All the conservancies in Guyana store water at higher elevations than the surrounding fields, thus irrigation can take place by gravity flow to the areas. The Boerasirie Conservancy, like those at Bari and Demerara, are entirely covered by weeds. The enlarged Boerasirie Water Conservancy was commissioned by the Drainage and Irrigation Department under the then British government by Governor Sir Ralph Francis Alnwick Gray on May 28, 1960. The Boerasirie Extension Project was planned in 1951 by Frederick Hutchinson, the consulting engineer, but construction started in 1955 and the main works were completed in 1959. The contractor was Sir Lindsay Parkinson and Company Limited. The Waramia Relief Sluice is the main relief structure which discharges excess water into the Bonsika Creek, which then leads into the Essequibo River. It has 5 16-feet wide gates and has a discharge capacity of roughly 56,000 litres per second at full supply level. And if the water in the conservancy gets too low, such as in the case of drought, it is from this very point at Boerasirie that water is then pumped into the conservancy from Boerasirie to allow sufficient capacity for sugar, rice and farmlands.
What we're looking at here, this is a basin, something they call a basin. Like this here is like about
Just this piece here.
yes. This here from there is a basin. This here is okay. When you release the water here, instead of get a flow for go and break up the structure inside, there is a structure here, a wall here, which stops the force or break the force of this water to go over.
Okay.
So when you open this, when you open the 5 door here, there's a good flow of water coming out. It's like when you start, it's like a mini Kaicho Falls, you would say. This here. And this water here now go into the, well, that's the Boerasirie Creek here. And this leads into the Essequibo River.
When you release water from here, does it flood the communities along the river?
No,
No.
because this goes straight. There's no sluice or anything at the end there. It goes straight into the river.
Straight into the Essequibo.
Uh,
Okay. How often you have to release water? It depends on the conservancy.
yeah, it depends on the level,
level.
of the water.
Okay. You can drink this water?
Yes, people use this. People in Boerasirie, this is what they use.
Mm.
This water here.
They use it for cooking, wash, and everything.
Wash and drink and everything here. Yeah, this water mostly come from the hills, you know. This come from the hills away.
Which hills?
The sand hills. We got the sand hills at the back here.
You mean then some sand hills that connect in?
It connect.
I mean that's how it's sand hills.
The sand hill that you know about?
I know the sand hills up the Suicide.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Just connect there straight up.
It connects straight through.
The guys told me that you can take a trail and end up to Demerara Airport.
Really?
Really. So if you intend to walk, we can walk the trail. It will take you like a couple of days. And
Okay.
We're going to water, walk out back here. If you see this water when you go over the wall, it's like you see this gold color like this. Goldish color water going over.
You've gone in here to swim before?
Not this, we're not going here. These are 2 new doors recently down here.
Boerasirie Creek, where the water flows out of the conservancy, is an important agricultural community.
Boerasirie here, right? Produce, the agriculture produce 25% in whole Essequibo River.
Yeah.
Of
We shift in the northeast line, northeast pumpkin and watermelon, in the whole Essequibo River. And nobody pay attention to us.
Farmers from the Boerasirie Creek sometimes come out to the 5-door sluice to engage in other activities than farming.
Normally we just come here, catch board, fishing, set scene in there. When we go to there Saturday, Sunday, drink little rum, and them kind of stuff there.
And this trendy dam.
Nah man, we can't know this right now.
Apart from Boerasirie, there are 3 other structures that can drain water from the Boerasirie Conservancy to keep it at a safe level, including this one at DERYCK. When this structure is discharging at full capacity, it produces backwater in the downstream agricultural drains. The gate at this structure can be lifted clear of the upstream water level, and here too the water flows into the Essequibo River. Maintaining the Boerasirie Conservancy is crucial to ensure that it doesn't break away and flood agricultural lands and housing areas.
The greatest benefit we have achieved over the last couple of months when we had the intense rainfall, and we had a level of 63.4 GD level, a rise in the level. I recall 61.4 was the level that was a safe storage level. And when we would have risen to 63.4, it was an alarmingly high level that we would have actually contained within the Boerasirie Conservancy. It was all done through the assistance of everybody when the pulling of the dam and the managing of the water discharge. And more efficiently was the work of the 8,000 feet self-discharge, the spillway, that would have helped tremendously. And what we got through that as benefit was that we were least flooded despite the intense rainfall we'd have had during the season, when it would have been having discharge none would have done through the relief channels from Perica way down to Wales.
The Conservancy was initially designed to support large-scale agricultural production and village settlement, but this wasn't always the case. Things did not always go according to plan. According to the British Guyana Administrative Reports, from November 1899 to January 1900, a severe drought left villages in the areas of the Conservancy in a situation whereby pure drinking water was mostly unobtainable, most of the villages having nothing better than a supply of liquid mud taken from the trenches or ponds. There were complaints by villagers and planters about the inadequacy of the Conservancy. How inadequate became clear in 1937 when a drought left the Conservancy dry for a period of 42 days. This lack of water caused the dam walls of the previous Conservancy project, mostly made out of local peaty soil, to shrink or collapse, leaving the areas adjacent to the Conservancy vulnerable to flooding when the seasonal rains returned. Similarly, nearby Canal Spolder Conservancy, though much smaller in size and meant to provide water for a much smaller area, caused regular experiences of drought and flood in the area of Canal Spolder on the west bank of the Demerara River. These problems with the Boerasirie Conservancy were first addressed by the Bonsika scheme, which created a canal from the Bonsika River to the Conservancy to provide it with a regular infusion of fresh water even in times of regular drought. The Boerasirie Extension Project converted the Boerasirie Conservancy and the Canal Spolder Conservancy into a single reservoir and reclaimed thousands of hectares of land suitable for farming and the development of communities. There are no records of any catastrophe in recent history associated with the enlarged Boerasirie project, which was completed in 1959. To keep it that way, a lot of work is involved in ensuring that the dam is maintained.
We have to maintain this dam, we have to maintain these structures, we have to maintain the dam. This is being done on a daily basis. We have to maintain the canals so that we can ensure that there are water readily available to farmers anytime they need.
What are some of the works involved?
Mostly weeding of dam, clearing the canals with excavators, and like looking for leaks and breaches and things in the dam and stuff like that.
The Conservancy holds a massive amount of water, as mentioned earlier.
During the flood, the high water that we had here last, we had up to GD 63.30 water. Our normal level is 61.3 GD level.
61 to 63 don't seem like a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
How so? If it goes past that 63 and you're not able to release here,
We top over the dam.
have you had situations like that before?
Not for this short, not for a short while. Because what we have done work to raise the dam so we can hold water. Even at 63.30 we were safe. We didn't have top over at 63.30.
Okay.
We could hold more, but it isn't safe because our dam and even these doors, the structure, everything is designed to hold water at 61.3.
Approximately 30 farmers are supported by the Boerasirie Conservancy, and they plant a variety of fruits and cash crops.
We advise them to use small engines, outboard engines, which is not more than 15 horsepower.
Why?
Because anything more than that, we don't want to break the dam.
Okay.
Bigger the engine is more waves on the dam and pressure on the dam. So you use 15, which we think is reasonable.
Okay.
So they're satisfied with that and they use that. But most of them use smaller than that.
We went to meet one of them, popularly known as Auru.
Okay, when the water low, it's getting plenty fish and stuff on. Nice for fishing and so.
Okay.
Yes, avocado, what you doing? Let's buy it. May I bring the small boat? Oh. What? They bring the small boat? Cashew me plant or set a cashew tree. And I say some go grow and some they grow all grow. But the little too thick, you know, beer plenty. But
How long is that on the back, Uncle?
Well, since 2005, me come at the back here. That'll be like 16 years now. But before that, I plant in front. Me start from Boerasirie Creek. Me had my house inside Boerasirie Creek. But after me moved down here, me travel through this conservancy now easier for me now. Because when me travel from Boerasirie Creek to come here, me gotta walk like from the creek to back is about near 5 miles.
Okay.
So
why did you decide to come down at the back here?
well, easier to travel through now. The travel river, you have to go travel through river, then most of my farm they're still at the back.
Okay.
So reach the farm from the front there far. And
How long have you been farming?
well, if I tell you how long I farm all my life, because that's the only work I ever do. Me start my own, me work with farm with my parents since me born at the island named Waipatouche. Then me born and grew, right?
What the island there?
Waipatouche.
What?
Waipatouche, next to Fort Island.
Waipatouche?
Waipatouche.
Uh-huh.
Next to Fort Island. That's where I born and grow. And from there I married there, then I moved to Boerasirie. Well, right now I live in Zeeborg, because I had my children and I go to school and so on. So I had to go to live on the road for them purpose.
What farm your parents used to do?
The same cash crop on a big farm. They used to do small acres like planting, pumpkin, okra, edo, you know, cucumber. But my father used to plant like 1 acre crop, 2 acre, the most. Them time they didn't have chainsaw and them thing, you know. Used to, when we start farm, we used to cut tree with axe. You ever hear about man cut more a tree? You tie 2 sticks up on the tree, and you stamp on the 2 sticks on top. The tree got the spore, right?
Yeah.
So you got to tie the stick over the spore. 2 sticks tie on the tree, so, and you got 2 posts brace them up. Sometimes one day you chop 1 tree. Right, only you know, 1 tree, the tree. That's how we start farm.
So your father used to do 1 acre, you doing close to 700 acres.
Well, I'm planting 700 acres one time. But you plant like 20, 30 acres per crop. I kind of scale down farm. I used to plant plenty planting. 56 acres every crop, 100 acres every year. Big planting farm, you know. But age, you know.
So what are you doing now today?
Well,
What crops you planting today?
ginger, went on main crop cassava. Got guy weed in there. Ginger, cassava, orange, lime, tangerine, grapefruit. I plant some rambutan, coconut,
Wow.
plant some katahar. Right now we got a couple of breadfruit trees the way we weed here.
Okay.
Everything. I try to plant some, you know.
And where do you sell it?
Wholesale, right at the coca there and Paprika market. People come right at the coca, right in there, collect and Paprika market.
Okay.
But we got people from Tillington and Suba, you know. They come and farming, you got one way. When produce scarce, the hawks are reach you. Many plenty you got reach you. Right? I tell people, we used to plant pumpkin and planting. Go for a boat. You see when the pumpkin scarce, the hawks are send one man in your boat for discharge them. Right? When he plenty, you got throw them in the truck. You know? Yeah. So,
It still pays to do farming, Uncle?
well, that is what we know. And farming will help me farm. You got, if you plant a couple crop, stay in the couple crop. So you got time when you go be cheap, you know, make nothing, but then something you'll make price. And once you continue on one type crop, you always got chance. But a lot of farmers do. When they see this expensive than plant, something else than plant, they always shift, and that's the wrong thing to do. You gotta continue. If you choose 3 crop, 5 crop for plant, continue the 5 all the time. You know? You must get price one day. All right, me plant cassava. 2 years cheap. Now eat dear. They get something for them.
Okay.
Right? But if when you get cheap, you stop plant. When you get dear, you got.
Right.
So whatever you plant, you gotta continue.
And you do this? You are usually on the farms yourself?
Well, me got people work, but me always come for check. Me got son that take over the farm now, no? He do most of the business, but me still come in the experience for see the work, you know.
Right. What are you doing here?
Well, the whole thing I plant, you know, but the back, I pull at the back there right now. But if you watch, you can see so many boats.
So you get good price for your ginger this
Well,
side?
right now you got a good price, but something cheap.
Okay.
Right now, $500 a pound, which is real good.
Uh-huh.
But something 140, 120, 160, that'll be cheap. What the average for the year price that be like when you sell for the cheap one, the year when it come up like $250.
Okay.
Which bounce up, you know.
Okay.
Buying deer now, everybody cry when you 2 deer when it's cheap. Nobody knows it's cheap.